Alright, so, Atlas, when we last left off, you asked the magical bookshelf for a book on, do you remember specifically what it was? Was it about the Fae Wilds, the world? Was there something in particular you were kind of looking for answers on?
I think it was mostly on the uh, story, like this, the history, the digital world. Like, why were we summoned? How can we get out?
Gotcha. Um, so, now this bookshelf, but probably isn't omnipotent. It does give you a book, as we mentioned last time. It's a book on the children summoned to the digital world. The title varies when you look at it because I can't remember the exact name. So, do you find a quiet place to bust into your new book?
Yeah, I'm just sitting at the foot of the bookshelf.
At the foot of the bookshelf?
Yeah,
Alright, so. Let's go down here. Um, before I ask for anything, I will tell you on the first page of the book, it says that, um, there once was 6 children summoned to the digital world. Inside, everything they saw and everyone they met was beautiful. They had a great time. They all died there. Or rather, it'll say 5 of them died there.
I turned a page immediately.
Roll me a 1d10. Ba, 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 da, 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 da. On the very next page, it says that 5 children were summoned to the digital world. Everything they saw and everyone they met were exceedingly beautiful. They all died there.
I turned a page again.
Hmm. I'm hearing that too. I don't know why Spotify is doing that. So, I guess we'll mute Spotify sadly. Um, Maybe I'll have to find a different solution. So yes, when you turn the page again, it says that 5 children were summoned to the digital world. Everything they saw and everyone they met were exceedingly beautiful. They had a great time and they all died there. Oh, and roll me another 1d10. um, oh wait. Oh, that was your first. Okay. Um, do you turn the page again?
I he does. Atlas, after reading 3 pages with pretty much the same text,
Hmm.
he just starts going through the pages quickly, but speed reading until he finds a page that has different writings.
So about 20 pages in, you find a page that says 5 children were summoned to the digital world. Everyone they met and everything they saw was somewhat beautiful, but kind of scary. They didn't have that great of a time. They all died there.
I keep turning the pages.
By page 50, um, you get 5 teenagers were summoned to the digital world. Everything they saw and everyone they met was quite terrifying. They didn't have a good time. They all died. Also, roll me uh
D10.
50 50 d10s. Do you keep turning the pages?
Yeah, he just keeps turning, but like his face just starts getting whiter and whiter every time he goes through the pages.
Um hmm. Give me a willpower roll.
Is it
Just straight willpower. All right. Um so you keep going through the pages. Um and then you end up finding 5 maladaptive adults were brought to the digital world. Everyone they saw had died, and everything they saw was dying. They soon died themselves. I'm gonna play Spotify. Hopefully it stops popping.
Atlas will look at the remaining pages of the book?
Well, first roll me a d10 and give me another willpower roll. Alright. So, take 6 damage as you finally notice your flesh scalding and you start to rip yourself away from the book.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so you didn't notice until now, but as you feel your flesh starting to burn, you hear Mushman screaming your name, and you hear the lady yelling for you as Mushman is pulling on you, and the lady is taking a flaming knife to your hands and face. But to give a little bit more context to this situation, you can't pull yourself away from the book to actually see it. It's only once the flaming knife hits your flesh that you're able to rip yourself away from the book.
I throw the book to the ground and I run outside to throw up.
You run outside.
Yeah, I Atlas. The moment the knife cuts him, he comes back from his trance. He throws the book to the ground, gets up, and runs outside and starts puking.
And Mushman runs out behind you. Atlas, I'm supposed to be the one that grows roots. What the heck?
There's so much death. And he pukes again. You'll you'll just be puking for a while.
And the lady will come outside, the knife still in her hand, although she doesn't look like she's about to stab anyone. Um, Before she speaks, do you run away or?
He's probably Atlas is too weak to run away right now. He's, like
Uh,
reading the
gotcha.
book kind of drained of his energy, and the
Hmm.
moment he ran outside to puke, the rest of his energy came out. So he's just like hanging all over the fence.
Now, child, haven't you heard of getting lost in a book?
I have, and it's usually a safe place. What was that book?
It looks like you were asking for information on this world. There's not a lot of that here, but does this world seem like a safe place to you?
Nowhere is safe to me.
Hmm, that's not good. You're trying to say that even safe places aren't safe for you, right?
Safe places, safe havens that I make safe are safe for me. It's just everything else is never safe for me.
Hmm, I think you've let your blessing become a curse. Um, and as she walks over to you, give me a survival roll.
Will my minor aspect of being cautious kick in?
Sure. 27. Um, so as she approaches you, based off of the things she said and how she's approaching you, you don't think she's coming over to necessarily harm you, but you feel extremely uneasy by her coming up to you. You feel like she's going to do something that you don't want her to.
Atlas will like, but all of his strength just move slightly away from her, but not like out of fear, but just like a flinch.
So you're not going to run away, it's more just that you're...
Like he has no energy to really run away. Like, let's be honest.
Hmm.
But so he's just like slow scooting himself further away, and then he'll probably just collapse to the ground and sit as his knees buckles.
So as you buckle to the ground, she comes up. I do apologize, but while I don't remember much about myself, I do know that, and she's slowly gonna raise her hand to your head. Giving trials is part of my mission, and as her finger touches Atlas's forehead, nothing immediately will happen, but you'll definitely feel like you're missing something. Like something that's always been there for you is gone.
What what do you do?
Until you can stand on your own, you no longer have access to your blessing.
Blessing. I've never been blessed. I've always been cursed.
It's okay, you don't have to understand now. But soon you'll have to deal with far many more ordeals. You'll get your guardian back in time. And she'll walk back into the house, cottage.
I'll look around. And I'll look at Mushmon. I'm like, what guardian?
Mushman will... Would Mushman know?
I mean,
I'll let you decide that.
he might know, but at the same time, he might also not tell us Atlas.
Hmm. So he'd
Like
probably...
he knows about like the Guardian. Like he knows about Eros, but I think
Mhm.
Eros would probably have told him not to tell Atlas about him. So
Hmm.
I feel like Mushman will keep the secret of Eros until Atlas can figure it out himself.
Hmm. Gotcha. So Mushman would probably shrug to Atlas.
What time is it?
Let's see. I'd assume chores are done for the day, so it's probably approaching night.
Okay. So
You,
Atlas is just gonna go bandage up his wounds, and then he'll go to sleep.
gotcha. As you lay down, you see the black cat jump on your lap as you go to bed, and as you get a good night's sleep, you wake up to the red one pawing your face.
Morning. And then Atlas will just roll himself out of bed. And
And
he'll go into the kitchen.
as you roll out of bed, the red cat hisses at you and then runs off. And you see the cottage's caretaker, host, owner, preparing breakfast. Well, good morning. Did you get it? Did you sleep all right?
I slept okay.
That's good. Now then, would you like to help out with more chores? Or is there something else you'd like to do today?
Uh, what do you have for chores?
Cleaning the stables, preparing the cat's bed. Today is actually a day when you need to have tea with that winged bull man. Oh, right. Today you need to have tea with the Lamasu. Or, well, it's usually my task, but you could do that if you'd like.
I mean, can I see them from the window from where I'm standing?
The Lamasu?
Yes.
You might see it wandering by.
I could try.
Well, very good, but be sure to set up the table so his 5 legs don't bump into it. He also likes the tablecloth to have the 4 diamonds evenly divided on the table. Make sure that the tea is set to a firm 97 degrees. But if you can remember all that, you should have an enjoyable discussion with him.
Yeah, so table so he doesn't bump. Tablecloth even. T97.
Correct?
Okay.
Well, that's in an hour and 10 minutes from now. Until then, you can fluff the bed of the red cat. It should be lying down soon. It's about time for the white cat to wake up not long from now.
Atlas will go and start fluffing the red cat's pillow.
And as Atlas does, The lady sets out some breakfast pie, and her and the house's Selkie, as well as Mushmon, of course, take a seat to start eating some. Well, now that you're done with that, feel free to come over and join us.
Atlas will finish up the fluffing the pillow and then we'll move on to the table. But as he's eating, he just has like a blank stare, like just facing outside as he's eating.
You seem distracted.
More like lost.
What was that?
More like lost.
Are you lost?
I mean, kind of. I'm like, I'm usually easy to find my way, but somehow I'm still lost.
Well, don't worry, child. The wilds will take you where you truly want to go. Perhaps after tea with the Lamasu, you can go for a trek inside the wilds. Maybe you'll find something important.
I might do that. And Atlas would have like eaten at most maybe 3 bites of the breakfast pies before getting up from the table.
And soon, the ghost child would run in like a storm once again and scarf down the pie that you didn't finish before running out. I swear that
At-
child comes here every day.
Atlas is just gonna start cleaning up the table.
And the Selkie will definitely help you. Give me a give me a perception check. Wow. Yeah, you can tell that the Selkie is almost a little miffed that you're taking her work.
I'll just look at her and I'll just like bow my head to her and I'm like, I'm sorry for taking your work. Just felt like helping you out a little.
She'd set her plates down for a moment, come over and pat you on the head before returning to her work. And about the time you guys finish eating, the red cat would stretch, yawn, and go to sleep, and the white cat would wake up. Um, and a bit of time would pass, and soon it would be an hour and 20 minutes later.
Atlas will go and start prepping for the tea with the Lamasu.
And roughly around the time you finish, the five-legged winged bull with the man's head would arrive at the table, just staring at you.
I'll stare I'll stare at him and then I'll give him a gentlemanly bow and say that your tea is ready, sir.
It would nod. Well then, take a seat.
Atlas would pour him a cup before sitting down and pouring himself a cup. Slightly shaking as he's pouring it, but he's trying to act at least as sturdy as possible.
Give me a bravery roll. So, when the Lamasu begins to speak, you don't throw the coffee everywhere, but you do shake a little more and spill a bit on yourself. You seem troubled, child.
I'm always troubled.
What is it you lack?
Courage?
I've seen many.
Self-confidence?
I've seen many who lack those things. Most of them overcome it by going on a hero's journey.
I'm no hero.
That's what they all say. If you're not a hero, then become one. The teacup in front of it would levitate and go to its mouth as it starts sipping on its tea.
I hope the tea is to your liking.
It's the same as always, which means you did good. Considering you're standing before me, I suppose you've managed to do all of the tasks that woman has asked of you?
For today, I I mostly did STEM, yes.
Hmm.
This was mainly what I asked to do, but I tried my best at doing the simple tasks until then.
You also don't seem to give yourself enough credit, child.
Like I said, I'm no hero.
Hmm. You certainly aren't. Not yet. But it'll be up to you whether you become one or not. As it finishes its tea, it would walk away. Every journey starts somewhere. When will yours start?
I wonder the same thing.
So, once you finish having tea with the Lamasu, what do you do?
I was just gonna start cleaning up the table from the little tea party with the Lamasu, and he'll go back inside, clean up the teapot and the teacups, put the tablecloth in for wash, hanging out to dry, and then he's probably gonna just find a tree to sit under and start writing in his book.
You said start writing in this book?
Yes, not the not the book that I found, but just one of his regular notebooks.
Gotcha. What is he going to be journaling?
Mostly on with the interaction with the Lamasu and about being a hero and finding my journey.
Gotcha. And as you're writing, the woman ends up walking up from behind the tree and placing her hand on your shoulder. The sun won't be up forever, you know. If you want to journey into the Fae Wilds for a bit, you should probably start now.
Atlas will look up at her and he'll just like stare blankly out into the Feywild and just like respond to her with just like a simple tomorrow. For now, I need to clear my road.
Need to clean your what?
Clear my road, like my path,
Hmm.
as he goes back into writing in his journal.
She'll stare down at you for a moment before continuing on with her work. And as you write, eventually the sun will start to set, And you'll see the white cat hop inside, soon to be replaced by a black cat.
As soon as it gets a little too dark to write, Atlas will just put the journal back in his bag and then walk inside, puff up the black cat's pillow, and then sit down by the fire and just stare at it, watching the flames dance and flicker.
And as you stare at the fire, you will, you know what? Give me a willpower roll for that. Alright, you'll feel yourself becoming tired, and you'll definitely feel safe in the presence of the fire, but you can work yourself up to go to bed if you wish.
Atlas will just he'll get up and go to bed.
And, funny enough, tonight Atlas actually has dreams that he's being taken care of and he feels safe and that his mom is there watching over him.
Atlas will just let the dream go through during the night.
And as he has this dream, he feels as though he's enjoying a nice conversation as a child with his family, his mother, his dad before things went sour, and someone else. And it's just very pleasant. But all dreams must come to an end, and when you wake up, give me a survival roll.
A what?
A survival roll. Yes, so the vibes, not that Mushmon would notice, but the vibes definitely feel off in the cottage to you. You're not sure why just yet, but they feel off.
Atlas will pack his things and then go to the kitchen.
Give me a decipher intent roll. Yeah, so all Atlas can tell is that the the owner of the
It's
cottage
actually
is
supposed to be 10. I forgot to write +2.
still all Atlas can tell is the owner of the cottage is preparing breakfast as usual. Nothing amiss there. The vibes feel off to Atlas for some reason, but he can't tell why.
I'll just I'll just head to the table and once more just blankly stare as he's eating a bit of the breakfast pies.
Um, as you go to eat the pie, the Selkie next to you uses her fork to stop your fork from going into the pie for just a moment before pulling it back.
Alice will just look at the Selkie, then look back at the pie, and then he'll still go and take a bite out of it.
Okay. Let's see. So everyone around you is eating their breakfast as normal. Are you going to continue to eat the pie? It tastes fine.
Not not all of it. He's just gonna eat like maybe 4 to 5 bites before like leaving the table.
Gotcha. And as you do, the small child comes in, laughing and giggling, and sits at your table and is about to eat your pie once again before the lady picks up, before the owner of the cottage picks up the plate with your pie quickly, stares at the child for a moment. This wouldn't be to your liking, child. Take some candy. And she nods to a bowl, and the child quickly goes over and happily grabs some candy before scampering out.
Alice will look at it as a little confused, and then he'll just slowly start looking outside. So with the eerie feeling that he has around currently, he'll start looking outside.
Um, give me a straight body roll. Alright. So you don't notice anything, but the lady comes over, So, what are your plans for today, child?
Might go take a walk in the Fae Wild.
Oh, did you want to head out now?
Probably.
Well then, good luck. And she'd hold the door open for you.
Atlas will grab the bag. Look at Mushmon. He just goes like, "Coming with me?"
You can roleplay Mushman again.
Mushmon's just gonna look at him. He's gonna grab a handful of candy. Like he already has a handful of candy, but then he just grabs a second handful and runs out.
And as you as you head out into the Fae Wilds, as you pass through the gate, you see the Lamasu just watching you as you leave.
As I see him, I give him a bow before turning and walking away.
And it just as I had Rain do when she left. Give me a perception check. Yep, there's definitely a forest out there for you to walk into. Um, Now also give me a willpower check. Up, up, up. So, now did you follow the path out of the cottage? Like when you went into the forest, did you follow along the walkway, the road, so to speak, or did you jump into the bushes?
I Alice probably would have followed the pathway.
Gotcha. So I'd say about 15 minutes after you left, you would start to become highly disoriented. You'd start feeling like up is down, left is right. The world would be spinning for you.
Atlas is just gonna sit down, just like let his head straighten out again, and then try to rethink back to what the Lamasu told him.
Which part?
That, like, about taking the first step to it in a journey and stuff like that.
Gotcha. So, Um, as you're laying there, Mushman's voice becomes just as disorienting as everything else until eventually you black out for a bit. And now you can describe what Mushman does while you're blacked out because I'll be right back, but I will be hearing you while I'm away.
Oh, Mushmon probably would be eating the candies he had in his hands, leaving wrappers along the path. This is so awkward. When Atlas blacks out, Mushmon probably just gonna rush to Atlas's side and goes like, "Hey, Atlas, you okay?" Like, no response.
Alright, I have returned. So, Mushman would know that you've actually been, you were actually blacked out for about 30 minutes. But, when you do wake up, you don't necessarily recognize your surroundings, and you see that there isn't really much of a path behind you, but there's about 10 paths in front of you.
There's 10 paths in front of me.
Yes.
Can I see what each path like have at the end of them? Like, is there clearing along the way, or is it just forest till the eye can see?
It's very heavy forest, and the paths all look very similar. They're they're very much just a walkway that they're kind of like the only paths you can take, but there are 10 of them and they all look the same. So, what will Atlas do?
I also look at each path and then he'll close his eyes, trying to figure out the best way he can do it. But he'll start just walking directly in a path.
He'll pick one and go?
Yeah.
And as he walks down this path, what is on Atlas's mind?
Apparently just the words of the Lamasu, but at the same time he's also thinking about the dream he had. As well as the book that he read 2 days before.
Gotcha. So As you walk along the path, you actually end up seeing, and this is a decent bit in front of you. So give me a perception roll to see how much of this you actually make out.
With my eyesight, not much.
Most likely. Well, that's not terrible. To you, it looks like one of the bushes further down grew the head of a human, and ends up running along a path, guiding a small child down that path. This person, whoever they are, had long black hair. The bush person, that is. The child is the child you've seen multiple times already. And once you get to where they were, you notice that there are two paths before you. There's the one with the bush person and the child that they went down, and then there's the path you're currently on. Or rather, just the straight ahead path.
Atlas will go with the after the child and the bush person.
Gotcha. So, you definitely lost them. Like, you don't see them anymore, but after walking down the path that they seemingly took for about 10 minutes, you end up seeing the child standing against a wall.
Atlas will look at the child and look at the wall.
The wall seems to be formed out of most likely trees. It's definitely a very firm wall, but it seems organic in nature. But the child themselves seems aloof.
Atlas will like go to the child and just will kneel down and goes like, "What is this place?"
So, as you approach the child, um, well, I'll give you the chance. Give me another perception roll. I don't think it'll go very well for you, but not bad. But in this case, not good. As you approach the child, what you thought was a bushman, you're able to now make out much more clearly as he jumps out of the thicket with a spear in hand and gets between you and the child. You can tell that it's a very tall, slender man with long black hair, and he appears as a bush only because his clothing is that of leaves and twigs.
Atlas will jump back. He'll put his hands up, like in front of him. And he'll go like, "Who are you?"
And as you're talking to him, the person would sniff the air, seemingly gauging your scent, and he'd lower his spear a little, still cautious, but looking a lot more confused. But he wouldn't say anything. Although the child would start kicking a boulder next to it. This is boring. Can I go?
Atlas will just like lowers his hands down, and then he'll see the kid react, and he's just like, but he won't react to the kid. He'll keep his eyes on the slender man.
And the child will sound pretty familiar, a little more high pitched, but it'll actually sound a lot like the AI that's been keeping you company in your phone this entire time. But as you keep your eyes on this slender man, you'll hear another voice echo out as a much shorter but much more handsome, well-dressed man with butterfly wings comes out from behind a tree. There, Gilly. You can relax. I know he's a bit confusing. Not quite a man, not quite a child, am I right? But he's welcome into the city.
City?
City, village, town, whatever you call it. Although words are important and every one carries their own connotation, so I prefer the word city. Sounds more grand, doesn't it?
What is this place?
Do you mean the Fae Wilds?
I mean,
Or
the city.
a city? Well, the city is our home.
Um, who are you, Oberon? Oberon?
He'd look at you, smile, breathe in, and his smile would get bigger. Names are very important, and I like to make sure that everybody knows mine. But to answer your question, yes, of course I'm Oberon.
Upon hearing that he is, in fact, the Fairy King Oberon, Atlas will bow in front of him.
The man would laugh. Very good. Very good indeed. But that's enough bowing. I've seen you bow many times, and every time you end up dying. So, let's go to the city, shall we?
Atlas will like straighten himself up and goes like, "What?"
What was that, Atlas?
Atlas will straighten himself up and and like after hearing the Fairy King say that he sees him bowing many times and he dies, he just straightens up and goes like, "What?" As the color slowly drains from his face.
Oh, don't get all scared now. You're not dead yet, are you? Well, I suppose that depends on context. Context sensitive. And you'd see
Mushmon will laugh and follow the Fairy King as well.
the Slender Man slowly go back to the side of the road and hunker down, almost appearing as a bush once again. And Oberon would turn his head. You too, little one. You're welcome into the city as long as you wish to stay in the wilds. And the child would run after Oberon, laughing and smiling.
Atlas will follow suit.
And as you come to the gates of the city, they'd be very large, and they'd open up for you, and Oberon would say, You know, some people... some people refer to this city as the Court of Thorns and Roses, but I'm not very fond of that name. Well, my exploits transcend many different mediums, being locked down by... well, what is it you people say? Nerds? Being locked down by nerds isn't my favorite thing. And he'd walk in. Now, don't get me wrong. Nerds do the world a great many favors, and I don't mind being in their writings. However, they're not very good at spreading information. That's why I'm still searching for a good name for this city. Ba-ba-ba-ba. And as you walk in, you'd see a massive, lush and vibrant city behind the gate walls. Honestly, the city itself wouldn't make much sense to you because the walls couldn't cover this much of the city. You'd definitely be able to see it from behind them, but you can't.
Atlas will just look at his surroundings and what he can't see. As he's trying to stay close to the Fairy King.
Well, you'd see a great many things. Even with your poor eyesight, there'd clearly be mystical birds and dragons flying in the sky, creatures of all sorts in the waters below. So, word on the wind is that you're seeking courage.
I mean, that's one of the things.
And the others?
Self-confidence.
Yes, yes, much of the same. Granted, those aren't things that can be given to you, sadly, but they are things you can build up yourself. That said, never mistake courage for hubris. A lot of people think that they're courageous, but they end up dying because they get, well, dumb. If you ask me, courage is knowledge.
But knowledge is what I have.
Well, tell me, what is it you fear?
My past,
Your
the
past?
future, the present, the ocean, people.
The correct answer is the unknown, or things outside of your control. At least that's normally what people fear.
But if courage is knowledge, how can you be afraid of the unknown if your knowledge knows the unknown?
Or more specifically, you don't know the unknown. But if you did, you know that there's nothing to be afraid of.
That that is a possibility, but we do have to consider the fact that the ocean is an unknown place.
Well, yes, the ocean is full of many unknowns. That's why people are scared of it. Granted, there's also other reasons to fear the ocean. Am I a good enough swimmer to survive in the ocean? Will I get lost out here? But all of those are questions. If you have the answer to the questions, there's no reason to be scared.
I mean, I know the reason why I'm afraid of the ocean, and I know the reason why I'm afraid of my past, which also ties to why I'm afraid of people and why I'm afraid of my future. The unknown stays as the unknown in a mystery, and a mystery is made to be discovered.
Well said, well said. However, you come seeking courage, but your fear is also one of your strengths.
I don't think I have strength.
Well,
My
haven't you?
fears are burdens.
Even burdens have power. Normally, it's a power used to ruin the lives of man, the Fairy King would say as he walks. However, with you here, it's a little different. Haven't you noticed that little device of yours lights up whenever you get truly afraid?
Atlas will look at his Digivice. I've never noticed.
It's quite funny, really. Usually when humans come to this digital world, from the stories I've heard, their devices grant them power based off of their defining character aspects, based off of their strengths. However, as this land delved into chaos, it started to give you power based off of your fears.
But I mean, there could be a possibility of that, but with the amount of fears I have, how did I know which one I need?
Need is also a strong. Wow, we're here! And he'd stop walking and spread out his arms. Before him would be a fairly massive field. But with a snap of his fingers, the flowers would start to spin and rise, and soon there'd be a small floral house in front of him. And he'd walk on inside.
Alice will follow behind.
And as you walk inside the house, you see him approach a much taller, but equally attractive, yet this time extremely beautiful woman.
Atlas will bow in front, and he'll say, "Lady Titania."
And she'll giggle a little, oh my, and Oberon will laugh. Yes, he knows our names. Although it's not that surprising. He knew them last time, too.
Atlas will slowly, like, stand back up, and he goes, "Last time."
Well, yeah, the last time you were created and brought here.
Created?
You know, with as much as the twins play outside, I thought that they'd tell you something. And Titania would shake her head. Well, there's no reason for you to worry about all of that. So, you feel like you're not courageous enough? Do you feel weak? Helpless?
I do.
Well, that's no good. But the truth of the matter is, you are extremely weak and very helpless. I mean, it's to be expected. Time after time after time. I don't even know what's left of your soul now.
Atlas will put his hand on his chest, and he goes like, "What? What do you mean?"
Well, I mean that you're not quite an adult, but you're also no longer a child. You're not quite a human, but you're not quite a Digimon. Quite the strange one. You're almost no different than that ghost child over there. She'd laugh, looking outside the house as the little child plays in the flowers.
Atlas would look at the child, and then he'll look back at Mushmon, who's also playing outside with the child. Before turning back to both the fairy king and queen. Uh, like more confused, but would like too many questions to ask at the same time.
There. At the very least, we should get what's left of your soul a little bit more together. Come. And she'd pat her lap with her hands. That one too, she'd say, looking outside at the walking mushroom.
Atlas will go outside to get Mushmon, and then he'll slowly go back to Titania.
And Oberon would be looking highly concerned. You know, Titania, I think my soul might also be in great disarray. Maybe you should offer your lap to me as well. And she'd punch him in the skull. Come. She'd pat her lap again.
Atlas he'll be wary of her, but he'll hurry up to get to her lap so he doesn't get punched in the skull.
And as she pats her lap, head.
What?
Head.
Head?
Head. As she pats her lap.
He puts his head on her lap.
And she'd look at Mushmon. Come on, you too.
Mushmon's gonna move on, put his head on the other lap, and then whisper to Atlas, "You're getting a pillow."
Thanks, Maya. And, she'd giggle. Yes, now don't move. And you wouldn't really be able to tell what she's doing. However, as you lay there, you feel extremely comfortable, perhaps more comfortable than you've ever felt in your life, and perhaps more safe than you've ever felt in your life.
Atlas just having his head rested and feeling like that the comfort radiating out of from the Fairy Queen. He starts to feel like it's like a motherly energy, and he just slowly like falls into like a slumber.
And as she's working, so how does it feel to be pampered by the Queen of the Fairies?
Like being loved by my mom again.
Such a silly child. But I can accept that. Just feel just be sure to sing my praises if you make it out of this alive next time. And then she'd pat both of you. All right, I'm all done.
Atlas will slowly get up, and then he'll pat Mushmon up because he probably fell asleep.
And as you get Mushmon up, it's hard to explain, but you definitely feel a lot closer to him.
Like as I'm tapping him, just like a soft tap, I just end up slapping him. You're like, Mushmon, wake up! And Mushmon just gets up from the shock of being slapped by Atlas. Like, well, did you slap me? Atlas would just like reply like, well, yeah, I patted you. You're sleeping.
And when you do, Oberon will walk up to you pretty concerned. You know, have you thought that maybe our souls could use some mending? And once again, Titania would punch him in the head. Ignore him.
Atlas will just look up to Titania and he'll just go, well, he is the Fairy King. You have the power to do what you want. There's a reason why the Queen is the strongest piece on the chessboard.
And don't you forget it. But I am glad that you actually made it here this time. Usually you die at the hag's cottage.
Hags.
Hmm? Oh, right. Most of the world has forgotten her name, haven't they? Oh, I do hope they remember before she disappears for good. She's not the nicest person, and she can do a lot of harm, but she also brings good into the world. And then, Titania would actually beckon you over with a finger.
Atlas will move forward slightly.
And as you do, she'd say, names are very important. They're what keep us fairies alive. I think you encountered some who lost their names for good in the digital world. But if you forget all of the fairies' names. Well, don't you dare forget my name or Oberon's here, but remember, and she'd bend down and whisper in your ear, please keep the name of the hag Baba Yaga alive.
I Atlas is just gonna nod, and he'll just repeat the name Baba Yaga, as in the the hag with the chicken leg house.
Titania would scruff your hair. Very good, very good. As long as people live up to her trials, no harm will come to them. At any rate, I've given you the power you need to make it a little farther in this world. While you stay here in the wilds, think about what it is you need from this place, because once you leave, you might not be able to return.
I think I think I have a few ideas of what I need. I need to get back my guardian, and most likely probably gonna need to get myself some mental courage, not knowledge courage, but courage from the heart.
Very good. Um, and with that, considering Rain didn't show up today, I think this is a decent place to call the session for now. Atlas?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think we'll call it here. Um, thank everyone for coming. We might have a solo session with Rain over the week, maybe, maybe not. We'll also be having the next School Island session next time, next Friday, I believe.
Most like it probably gonna be next Friday.
Yes, most likely.
It's it's the only good time for everyone on
Mm-hmm.
Friday.
Right. All right, everyone. Thank you for coming.
All right, thank you.
And